What's going on, everyone? I know I have been a stranger in the past couple weeks. I have been on vacation, but I'm excited to be back, and we will give you a midweek review right now. We're just going to cover dollar and ES. We will be doing a call this week. We'll have the time and date for this weekend in this email that we send out. But we figured the least we could do for you guys is go ahead and give us or give you a just a quick little bearing on where we stand with both dollar and ES. I know I'm a little rusty. I have not traded at all since I've been gone, but I have been kind of slowly working my way back into markets and watching them. So I'm going to start. I'm going to give a little take on the dollar. Henry's going to give a little take on the dollar, and then we're both going to give a little take on ES as well. So obviously we've reliefed back up into price above these relative equal lows. We had this big set of sell side liquidity that we took, and obviously we've not spent too much time hanging around there. We went right back up. There's two areas that I'm more specifically looking at on the daily as we go to the end of this week and going into next week. And it's going to be obviously this breaker and this SIBI right here. Obviously, we have the high, the low. We take out the high and we take out the low. And when we take out the low, there is displacement all throughout here. And as you can see in the past 2 days, we have basically gone into this SIBI. I'm watching candle closure to see how we respect not only in this nested darker area in between both PD arrays, but also just to see if we maybe might get another spike into here. If we do close above the SIBI, or we do start to see some stronger closure above this wick right here, which would be yesterday, or I guess it would be today's candle. If we do start to get some closure above there, I would be curious to see if price might go and try to reach for these relative equal highs. But if you look a little bit close, you could see that we do have a breaker wick in there. That high is a little bit higher. This high comes in at 103.543, and this high comes in at 103.572. So that might keep it low and might not want to run for that, and we might go lower. But for the most part, I still necessarily see us going lower. As you can see, there is relative equal high or relative equal lows right here. And other than that, obviously just monitoring lower time frames. Even if you go right here from high to low, you can see that we just pushed up into that upper portion of the premium, the premium of the parent swing, and you can see how price is respecting that 75% of the range. But we are well off in a equilibrium, or we're well off in a premium with regards to this high to this low. And even if you want to take it to this high to this low, we are still in a premium. So I'd be curious to see if we do get candle closure back below this breaker block in this red zone. I'd be curious to see what lower time frames play like in front of or in and around this up close candle, because that could be potentially used as a bearish order block. But for the most part, that's kind of what I'm looking for. I'm kind of keeping it short, sweet, and simple for right now, as I'm just now returning back into the markets. And I am a little rusty, not only with trading, but also just with viewing markets and catching up on where they've been, because I had not looked at a single market by the time I was gone. I was just enjoying my time down in the Florida Keys. But other than that, looking to see if we can close back below these two areas to see how we utilize equilibrium of this range, and this being a potential order block, which would be Wednesday, August 2nd's candle. Look to see that opening range right there, that opening candle on the daily, to see if it acts as an order block. Aside from that, that's really about it for me. I'll shoot it over to Henry right now, and we'll see what he has got in store. And you are good to share, my friend.
All right, so everyone's doing well. I'll just share my take on dollar pretty quickly, which is in line with Carson's, but I'll just note a couple of points we've seen. So before we had this move down, we had this displacement off of this last close candle here, that's the order block. So just gone ahead and mark that out as a weekly order block and potential area to return up into if we do push a little bit higher. Also, there's a small SIBI right here, which we did trade up into here and once more there. So now we've traded up and down, and traded away from it. So you can see this as a balanced price range. And this could potentially be a final area to turn price around if it is going to go lower. And this would kind of be like the last resort for me before seeing price trade higher. So what I mean is that if we do trade back above this, and really even up into the high, then I would expect these highs to trade up here. On the daily chart, same points noted here, really. We got the city right here. So far, pretty much respecting the constant encroachment. We did trade down here and do an immediate rebalance of the last daily candle. So we'll see what happens tomorrow if we do end up trading higher or start to peel off of here after trading back into this imbalance. If we do trade and get candle closure above this city right here, then I would start like the biggest area and then we do see highs up here. That's pretty much it. So either looking for a turn here, or if we get candle closure above, we're looking to trade up to the buy side.
I'm going to add something really quick on your chart. Just leave it right there because I just saw it. I'm just going to annotate really quick. The other thing that I'm also watching to see why we could potentially go lower is if you look, there is a BISI right here, and it's basically fully filled. So if you look at this price low to high, so if you're looking from this low all the way up to potentially this high, there's really no imbalance here that's going to, speed bump price for the most part. The only thing that I would really watch for is maybe this could potentially, that down close candle. Oops, that's about in line. Hold on. This right here could potentially act as an intermediate term order block right there. So just watch out for this down closure right here. I would just say that range right there, anywhere around that range, could potentially act as some form of it could consolidate. It might not necessarily cut through it as quick as you would like, but just keep that in mind as well.
I think that is pretty much same people have been doing them as well.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting point to watch if we do trade backward.
Henry, if you want to, you can go right into ES and then I'll follow back with mine.
Okay, pretty simple analysis on ES so far. I actually want to start here on the monthly chart because we have created a bit of a separation here. Looking at this on a monthly chart, you could potentially see a market maker buy model. So here we have that smart money reversal, accumulation, reaccumulation up in here, and potentially a final accumulation before we go into buy side. If we are going to go up here, I'm not calling it, but it's a potential idea for where we could trade to. But what I really want to note here is this BISI right here on the monthly chart. And I want to note that as an area to potentially trade back down to if we do have a bit of a retracement lower. On the weekly chart, this is where most of our information is going to come from. We've got this BISI right here, which we traded down into today, hit just a little bit below the principal encroachment. And then this is a weekly candle, so it hasn't fully closed for the week yet, but it did trade back up, and at the moment is trading just above the high of this BISI. So far, respecting it very nicely. We did trade above this liquidity void here, which we were looking at last week. And so just short of this projection here. So potentially another area to watch here if we do trade back up higher. What I'm watching in this area now is this down close candle here has a propulsion block. So we have our order block here, and this candle traded into this one. So now I'm drawing out my bid, taking the mean threshold of this propulsion block, and I'm expecting from the high to the midpoint to be very sensitive. And so I don't want to see candle closure below the midpoint of this propulsion block if we're going to trade higher. Ideally, we could see price trading here, but we want to see consolidation in this area and this inefficiency and the upper half of this order block if we're going to go and attack these highs again. If we do get candle closure below the threshold of this propulsion block, then I would look to the monthly imbalance, which we mentioned before. And this is a good potential area for price to drop back down to as well, because we do have a swing point right here, which would be sell side liquidity on the weekly chart. Anything like that. And lastly, on the daily chart here, we did trade up above this high right here and then split lower, market structure shift, left a city right here. And so we could potentially see trade price trade back up into the city and then make a bit lower if it is going to do that. If we are going to trade back higher, then of course I'd be watching these premium areas, this city and this volume imbalance as potential areas for inversion to trade back to balance. So we have NFP tomorrow, so it's really hard to say in advance what's going to happen, because we can have a wide manipulative move there on the news release. So I would really just be watching how price trades on the news release into this area, or potentially down here into the weekly proportion block. Let's see.
Alrighty, I will give it a shot. And like usual, me and Henry are pretty much on the same page when it comes to this stuff, but I will at least show you just some things that I'm looking at. Obviously, on a weekly, I'm looking at the same thing. We can pull all the way back down into this proportion block. 100% doable. I am also just tracking this liquidity void low down in here, just to see if we are going to go lower and go into this monthly imbalance down here. If we are going to go down into this monthly imbalance down here, it's probably going to be maybe this high could potentially hold. I'm not going to call it, but if we're going to go back down into here, it would be in the idea of smart money concepts to go and fill this before going and taking these highs, because odds are if I think we take this high, I think we take this high. But going back into a weekly, I would be monitoring the quarter points as well as the consequent encroachment of this on lower time frames. We do have a swing point right here on a weekly, right? So that's the only reason why I'm saying if we are going to hold and go lower into that monthly imbalance, it's going to be pretty cool, and it'll be interesting to see how price plays in between this weekly BISI, this weekly propulsion block, and the consequent encroachment of it, and then potentially seeing how we want to behave at that swing high. When you go into a daily, same thing as Henry. Obviously, you have a SIBI. You do have this volume imbalance in here that you could potentially play, and keep that liquidity void low in mind, just because it is sitting inside that SIBI. So that could be a potential area where you might see price be a little bit sensitive. But even on the daily, like you said, if you go in here, you've got these down close candles in here, and then alongside that, you've got one daily BISI, two daily BISIs right here. So price can, for whatever reason, continue to go lower. It does have areas that it could potentially fill. It just depends on how bullish this market is right now still, right? We have been pushing higher for such a long time, and you're starting to get a little bit more velocity to the downside. I'm not saying that we're bearish, but at the same time too, we still have room to go down to fill what would still be viable areas for discount and stuff like that. If you also want to take the most recent parent price swing, you can go here and you can start to see where the quarter points play, and you can see that obviously we could still go into more of a discount into the 75% area, but obviously price is respecting equilibrium. Like Henry mentioned, we did dip down into that consequent encroachment, and we are respecting it so far. So I would just keep the quarter points in mind. Even on a 12-hour, there's nothing really that stands out to me. There is a little SIBI right here, but then once you get into there, you really only can see this liquidity void low and that volume imbalance right here. You could maybe potentially use this as a breaker if you wanted to, which would cover almost all of those PD arrays or premium arrays that we're talking about. Just something to keep in mind. I mean, you do have a high, a low, you take out the high, and then it does not take out that high before displacing and taking out that low. So you can maybe track and gauge to see how high it might go. I would say it would go as high as either this breaker and or to fill the entire volume imbalance if we're going to go lower. But that's also something that you would want to monitor, not with wicks, but with candle closure. But I'm pretty open right now. I'm pretty neutral as I'm just now getting back into the swing of things. On a 4 hour, there's really nothing um, too crazy. On a 4 hour, you even have a breaker right down in here, right? So that's something that I would keep in mind too. There's a breaker right here. All right, you got a low, a high. You take out the low and you take out the high, and there is actually a little bit of displacement in there. Right, you got a little tiny area. So if price decides to trade back down into this area, that might be something that you might want to watch on lower time frames. But for the most part, that is about it. We can go into lower time frames on the weekend, and we can kind of get all caught up. I'll have plenty of time. We can go and catch up on whatever we need to catch up, answer whatever questions we need to. I hope you guys have been well while I've been gone. Hope your trading has been well. Hope your trading has been safe. For the most part, that's about it for me. Henry, you got anything?
Yeah, same on my end. It's been a good week so far, NFP protocol. So be careful toward the end of the week if you do decide to trade. Typically, you want to be done by Wednesday on the AM. So tomorrow's a great day to tape read and just see what happens. Yeah, be safe the rest of the week, and we'll look forward to speaking with you all on Sunday.
All right, guys. So the email will have the times and all that good stuff on when we will be meeting. I'm excited to get to see you guys again, and we will see how the week closes. And I will talk to you guys soon. Hopefully that was insightful. Appreciate it.
Okay.